This is a story that challenges everything we know about justice, faith, and miracles. The protagonist was not a saint. He was a man who had committed terrible mistakes, but what happened in his final hours would prove that the mercy of the Virgin Mary knows no limits. Prepare yourself to witness one of the most remarkable miracles ever documented inside a prison. A story that changed not only the life of a condemned man, but also forever transformed the faith of everyone who witnessed the impossible. Before we go on, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is right now. I'd love to see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary are reaching. Michael Carter was 34 years old when he received his maximum sentence. During his childhood, Michael would accompany his mother to Mass every Sunday. She always carried with her a small rosary and a medal of the Virgin Mary that had belonged to her own grandmother. "Sarah," she used to say, "when everything seems lost, remember that Our Lady never abandons her children." But life on the streets was stronger. At 16, Michael became involved with gangs. By 18, he had already been arrested 3 times. At 25, during an attempted robbery, something went wrong. A police officer lost his life. Michael swore his innocence, insisting that he was not the one who fired the shot, but the evidence appeared irrefutable. The trial lasted only 2 months. The prosecution portrayed Michael as a dangerous, remorseless individual. The overworked and inexperienced public defender barely managed to present convincing arguments. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours before declaring him guilty. "Michael Carter," Judge Marshall said during the sentencing, "you have been found guilty of the crime against Officer Patrick O'Connor. This court sentences you to the maximum penalty." Maria, his mother, collapsed in the courtroom. Over the 8 years that followed, she visited Michael faithfully every single week, always bringing her Virgin Mary medal and praying the rosary with him through the glass that separated them. Michael shared his cell only with his memories and a growing sense that he had been wronged, but he could not prove his innocence. During those 8 years, something began to change within him. The constant visits from his mother, always accompanied by prayers to the Virgin Mary, started to awaken again the faith he had lost on the streets. The prison chaplain, Father Thomas Mackenzie, a 68-year-old Irishman, also played a key role in this transformation. He visited Michael weekly, not bringing sermons about condemnation, but messages about forgiveness and redemption. "Michael," Father Mackenzie would say, "God knows the truth, even when men fail to find it." During the 5th year of his imprisonment, Michael began attending the prison services. He relearned how to pray the rosary, as his mother had taught him in childhood. Gradually, he began to find peace, even knowing that his sentence was drawing near. But it was during the 7th year that something extraordinary happened. Michael was in his cell, praying the rosary that his mother had managed to get authorized for him, when he had a vision. A woman dressed in blue and white appeared before him with a gentle smile and eyes full of compassion. "Son," she said with a voice as soft as a breeze, "your mother has never stopped praying for you. Keep praying. The truth always comes to light." Michael blinked, and the vision disappeared. But the sense of peace it left behind remained with him. He told Father Mackenzie about the experience, who listened with attention and respect. "Michael," said the priest, "Our Lady appears to those who need her most. Keep praying." On October 15, 2003, Michael received the final notice. His sentence was scheduled for October 18th at 6 p.m. All legal appeals had been exhausted. There would be no more postponements. In the 2 days leading up to his sentence, Michael received his mother's visit for the last time. Maria, now 72 years old and visibly weakened by the years of struggle to save her son, arrived carrying something special. "Son," she said, holding a small framed image of the Virgin Mary, "this image belonged to your great-grandmother, then to your grandmother, then to me. I want you to have it in your last moments." The image was nothing elaborate, a small print of Our Lady in a simple wooden frame no larger than the palm of a hand. But for the family, it represented decades of faith, prayer, and hope. Michael held the image against his chest and cried as he had not cried since childhood. "Mother," he said, "thank you for never giving up on me." On October 17th, one day before the sentence, the warden, James Morrison, went to Michael's cell to ask about his last wishes. "What will your last meal be?" Morrison asked. Michael looked at the small image of the Virgin in his hands. "I don't want a special meal, sir. I only ask that you allow me to keep this image of the Virgin Mary with me until the end." Morrison frowned. It was not common for a condemned man to refuse a last meal. "Are you sure? You can ask for whatever you want." "I'm sure," Michael replied. "I only need her with me." The warden agreed. After all, it was a simple and harmless request. That last night, Michael could not sleep. He spent the hours praying the rosary and gazing at the image of Our Lady. Around 3 in the morning, he began to recite a prayer his mother had taught him in childhood. "Virgin Mary, Mother of God, and our Mother, intercede for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. You who are the refuge of the afflicted and the consolation of the sorrowful, receive me in your mercy." It was then that the first miracle happened. Around 3:30 a.m., the night guard, Steve Martinez, was making his routine rounds along the corridor when he noticed a soft light emanating from Michael's cell. At first he thought it was just a reflection, but as he drew closer, he realized the light came directly from the small image of the Virgin Mary. "Michael," Martinez called, "what the hell is going on in there?" Michael looked at the guard, then at the image in his hands. He, too, was seeing the light, a golden and gentle radiance that seemed to pulse softly. "I don't know," Michael replied, his voice filled with awe. She's glowing." Martinez stepped closer to the bars. He had worked in that prison for 15 years and had never seen anything like it. The light came from no external source. It emanated directly from the small image. "That's not possible, Mutto," murmured Martinez, grabbing his radio. "Central Control, this is Martinez. I need someone to come to cell 47 immediately." Within minutes, the night supervisor, Robert Chen, arrived accompanied by 2 other guards. They all froze before the phenomenon. The small image kept glowing with a soft but unmistakable light. "It must be some kind of trick," said Chen, trying to keep rational. "Michael, where did you get this?" "My mother brought it," Michael replied, still in awe of what he was seeing. "It's a family image that has been passed down for generations." Chen called the warden, Morrison, who arrived at the prison at 4:15 a.m. When he saw the light emanating from the image, he was left completely speechless. "Call the chaplain," Morrison ordered, "and let no one speak of this until we understand what is happening." Father Mackenzie arrived at 4:45 a.m. When he saw the image glowing in Michael's hands, he immediately knelt down. "Lord, have mercy on us," whispered the priest. "This is a sign." "A sign of what?" asked Morrison, clearly disturbed. "Our Lady is interceding," Father Mackenzie replied with conviction. "Something extraordinary is going to happen." On the morning of October 18th, the day of the sentence's fulfillment, news about the shining image of the Virgin Mary had spread among the staff. Some guards were requesting to be transferred to other sectors, fearful of the supernatural. Others, out of curiosity, found excuses to pass through the corridor. Around 10 a.m., something even more extraordinary happened. One of the most senior guards, David Walsh, a 58-year-old man known for his harsh and skeptical personality, approached Michael's cell. Walsh had worked in that prison for 23 years. He had witnessed dozens of sentence fulfillments and prided himself on never showing emotion. But when Walsh looked at the image of the Virgin Mary in Michael's hands, something happened that changed his life forever. He began trembling uncontrollably and collapsed to his knees on the cold floor of the corridor. "I can't any more," Walsh cried out, tears streaming down his hardened face. "I can't carry this weight any longer." Michael and the other guards were shocked. Walsh was known for never showing weakness or emotion. "What's going on, Walsh?" asked Morrison, who had come running after hearing the screams. "I lied!" shouted Walsh, sobbing uncontrollably. "I lied at the trial. Michael is not guilty." The silence that followed was deafening. Morrison felt his legs grow weak. "What are you talking about?" asked the warden. Walsh kept crying, his words coming out between sobs. "I was there that night. I saw everything. It was Tommy Rodriguez, not Michael. But Tommy was a police informant, and Detective Harris paid me to lie at the trial." Michael clutched the image of the Virgin to his chest, barely able to believe what he was hearing. "I carried this lie for 8 years," Walsh continued. "Every day I thought of his mother's face in the courtroom. But I was afraid of what Harris would do to me if I told the truth." Morrison immediately called the prosecution and the defense. Walsh's confession, witnessed by several prison staff members, was enough to immediately halt the sentence. At 11:30 a.m. on October 18th, Michael's sentence was officially suspended. Walsh's confession triggered a full investigation into Michael's case. Detective Richard Harris, already retired, was interrogated and ended up confirming the corruption scheme that had led to Michael's wrongful conviction. Tommy Rodriguez, the real culprit, had died 3 years earlier in another state. But the evidence that had been suppressed during the original trial was finally brought to light. The prosecution, faced with undeniable evidence of police misconduct and perjury, had no choice but to drop all charges against Michael. On December 15, 2003, almost 2 months after the original date of his sentence, Michael walked out of prison a free man. His mother, Maria, was waiting outside the gates, holding the same Virgin Mary medal she had carried during all those years of vigil and prayer. "Our Lady never abandoned you, my son," she said, embracing the son who had been returned to her by a miracle. Michael's story quickly spread, not only because of the injustice he had suffered, but mainly because of the miracles that preceded his release. The small image of the Virgin Mary, which had shone on that last night in prison, was examined by experts. They found no scientific explanation for the light that had emanated from it. The image of Our Lady was exactly what it appeared to be, a simple wooden religious image. Michael used the compensation he received from the state to create a foundation dedicated to helping other prisoners who had been wrongfully convicted. Father Mackenzie, who had accompanied Michael throughout his entire journey, said this was the most powerful miracle of Mary he had ever witnessed in his 40 years of priesthood. "Our Lady came into a prison," he said in a later interview, "to save not only Michael, but also the soul of David Walsh. She turned pain into redemption, lies into truth, and despair into hope." Maria lived to see her son get married and have 2 children. She passed away in 2010, at the age of 79, holding the same Virgin Mary medal she had carried with her throughout her life. The small image of the Virgin Mary that had shone that night is now kept on a special altar in Michael's home. He looks at it every day and remembers the night when Our Lady interceded for him in such a powerful way that it transformed hearts of stone. This story reminds us that the mercy of the Virgin Mary knows no walls, no bars, and no sentences. She intercedes especially for those who need it the most, for those whom the world had already abandoned. The miracle of the Virgin Mary was not only that Michael was set free. The true miracle was how the intercession of Our Lady transformed everyone involved, from the guard who found the courage to tell the truth to the prison warden who witnessed the power of faith. If this story of the miracle of the Virgin Mary has touched your heart, share it with your loved ones. May it inspire us never to give up on prayer, even when everything seems lost. Our Lady never abandons her children. No matter how dark the night may be, the light of her mercy can always shine through it. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about the miracles of the Virgin Mary. And remember, when everything seems impossible, bring your pleas to the feet of Our Lady. She is always listening,